Expedition log, day 62. At long last, I found it. The script told of a cliff in the western peaks. It took time, but I was able to locate it. The doors have caved in, rubble blocks the way. I've set up camp here, and I have called for some workers to help clear the way. I will learn your secret. Greetings, primates, and welcome back to Thespa. Oh, it has been far too long. As Ruprect said in his diary, he found Nerrex. Well, sort of. There was a giant cave-in. I don't know how long ago it was. And, we gotta clear it out. So, I know Ruprect said he hired other people to help. Other people, meaning me. I gotta dig this out. So what are we waiting for? Primates, I just want to thank you all so much for your patience. A lot has gone on over the new year. Right as the new year hit, my wife and I moved. School started up, work started up, and as such, I just haven't had enough time to sit down and actually record these videos, let alone edit them. So at least for the next few months, these might be coming out a little less regularly than before. I'm not giving up on Thespa. Thespa's a project of mine that I want to see finished. However, in other news, I have had quite a lot of fun streaming. While I haven't had enough time to edit and record, I can still stream and do all that. And just a couple weeks ago, I hit affiliate on Twitch, and that is crazy. I just started this whole content creation a few months ago, and I've absolutely loved that. So if you're looking for more of my content, be sure to check me out on Twitch. And if you came over to my YouTube from Twitch, thank you so much. Oh, it's so good to be back. We've done it. We've dug out the main entrance to Nerrex. Now it's time to actually start building it. I, once again, am going to be using Lightmatica to assist in that because Lightmatica makes everything easier for me. Now, I don't quite have everything ready just yet. I'm still missing these copper blocks. Okay, I say I'm missing. They're right over there. And we have friends. Anyway. Yeah, they're over there. I'm letting them oxidize while I build this up. But for right now, let's build up the outer frame of this. And we'll put the copper blocks in later. Those copper blocks, as it might appear, are the actual doorway to Nerrex. And we'll deal with that once it's time. But for now, I've got some building to do. Well, primates, we have some waiting to do while our copper oxidizes. And one thing I've always wanted to put together is a moss farm. And that's what's going to go right here. I've already designed and built up the moss farm that I would like to build. This is a design of my own, and I'm really pleased with it. We'll decorate it in a bit, but I'm really happy with this. I've already gone through, gathered up all the materials. Didn't take that long, actually. I'm actually really pleased with how quickly it took me to put all this together. So let me just build this up, and then I can explain how this works. Well, that didn't take too long. I guess it's time to test it. Look at this, primates. Isn't it pretty? Well, I guess you gotta do an explanation as to how this thing works. First things first, let's turn it off. That way it's not going to be yelling at me this entire time. So here's how this thing works. This right here is the core of how this thing works. This is what's called a stone generator. In Minecraft, you can generate stone or cobblestone based off of lava and water interactions. If water flows onto lava, you get cobblestone. However, if lava flows onto water, you get stone. The reason I want stone is because moss, should one bone meal it, will convert stone into moss. So this stone generator is there to replenish this platform, which I then use a dispenser to bone meal this moss block and generate more moss. Another feature of moss is when pushed by pistons, or blocks being pushed by pistons, moss doesn't get pushed, instead it breaks. So, not only does this stone generator replenish the stone, it also breaks the moss. And then I use a nifty little fact of waterlogging trapdoors. When you close them or open them, you can redirect the flow of the water. So as it's set up now, there's no water flowing, but if I pop up here and remove this torch, water is now flowing. And this will periodically activate. And it activates to clear all the stuff that forms above the moss. You know, things like the flowering azalea or the moss carpet, as well as push any of the moss blocks that break into the hopper line underneath those honey blocks. Now, I need this to fire every so often, so I've got an etho hopper clock that will activate the machine, and up here, I have a counter that activates every cycle. So every 6 cycles, it will send a pulse to that piston, which activates the bone meal machine. And that's pretty much it. I've got a little bit more work to do. For instance, I don't have any way to load it with bone meal. And what's really nice about moss farms is they're actually self-sufficient. So once I hook up a section of this to a bone meal farm, I can redirect the bone meal up into my moss farm, and it'll actually produce more bone meal than it uses. And so I'm pretty much set for life. I'm just going to let this run, and we'll go take a look at our copper and see how we're doing. Well, primates, sure enough, that quick little break we took on the moss farm was just enough to finish up oxidizing the copper. And look at it! We've officially started Nerrex. This makes me happy, although this rain doesn't make me happy. Oh good, it's going away. Now, you might notice a few things, namely, it's simply a facade and there's actually no mine behind it. We'll finish that. Another thing you might notice is the mountain's not very thick. This is a rather thin mountain that I chose, but that's okay. Most of it's going to be going down anyway. This is going to be a rather long staircase down, which I'm actually really looking forward to seeing. But we have Nerrex started and up and going. With the entrance to Nerrex started, I've got one last little project for today's episode, and that is the area in front of the moss farm. This is supposed to be a beautiful, lush area here. I mean, this is where we produce our moss. So let's get busy and making this place the wonderful garden that it's supposed to be. First things first, this pond has got to go, and I feel like moss is the only appropriate block to fill this thing in. I'm going to run out before filling it in, but who cares? I have a moss farm behind me. All right, now that that's gone, the next sort of stage I'm thinking of is making this sort of cave a little bit better. My goal is to mimic like a lush cave, so to speak. And another thing that I would like to do is essentially just have this be a single chest. with a small little entrance in to turn the farm on and off. But just like have a chest with just the just the moss in it. So let's get carving away at this mountain and getting it to look roughly the way that I want it to look. Alrighty, I think we have a good entrance shape here. The next thing is to kind of just flush it out a little bit more. This wall is extremely flat. Let's see if we can't make it a little less flat, yet still be a cave entrance. Now, I got rid of that pond, but I would still like to have some sort of water feature here with maybe a few drip leaves in here. Oh, if I could find a lush cave and some spore blossoms, that would be amazing. I'm liking this. Liking. Punny. Last but not least, we're definitely going to want some dirt and grass to put in here. And let's put this stone away. We don't need most of the stone. I want it to have a nice, gentle glide down. And then we can swap some of these stone blocks out for dirt and grass. Put that back in there. Okay, let's get a better look at this. There's a couple bits in here that I'm not happy about, like that, and that. That can go away. We'll do this. There, that just smooths it out just a little bit more. All right, this has got to move. So let's rearrange where this beacon is. That way I can have a little bit more room to play with. And while I'm here, might as well do this. Okay, now that that is gone, it makes it a little easier for me to clean this area up. So let's get this sort of prepped and ready, and I'm out of dirt, not dirt, grass. Luckily for me, I've got a whole box full. Just a little tip I've found with building is put the block somewhere. If it doesn't work, put it somewhere else. Or, as I've heard it said in, like, performing, we can work with word vomit. We can't work with nothing. Even if your idea isn't the best idea, at least you had an idea and at least you went with it. I think the next sort of stage, now that we've got this area kind of set up, the next sort of way to take it would be to find a good spot for that water feature that I want, which is probably going to be like right here. There's going to be a nice little pond, maybe a nice waterfall coming down. Some benches and all that, because this is a place where the citizens come to relax and enjoy themselves. And over here, we'll have access to the farm in some form or fashion. Well, if it isn't on its way. Look at this. Got a nice little waterfall coming down the cliff into a lovely little pond. And we've got the storage system all set up. Tons of moss, azalea, flowering azalea, carpet. Getting our bone meal on. Look at this thing go. Ah, this is making me so happy. Got an on-off switch all set up. That way I can toggle it. Now, we're not done, per se. There's still a bit more decorating to do. Like, for example, there's no benches around here. And I think I might bring this out a little bit so that way the cave comes down in like this at an angle. Who knows? But for right now, I think we'll leave it at this. I'm really looking forward to getting this up and going. But most importantly, I'm really excited for what Nerrex has in store. There's going to be so many cool little things going on in there. So many new things for Ruprect to find. And I've got a lot of stuff to sort through. Well, it looks like my storage system is going to be getting a workout over the next, what, 6 months or so? Regardless of how much work my storage system is going to be doing over the next few months, if you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. Be sure to subscribe so that way you can be notified when another one of these videos comes out, hopefully next week. Please comment any suggestions of what you'd like to see down below. This has been Arya Prime, and I'll see you next time.